Jake Morrison stood in the Great Hall of Nexus Prime Station. The place was huge. Metal walls reached up so high he could barely see the top. Lights from 12 different alien worlds made the air glow with strange colors. Around him sat the most powerful beings in the galaxy. They all looked down at him like he was nothing. The human ambassador had been coming to this place for 3 years now. Every time it was the same story. The aliens would talk about humans like they were children. They would make rules that hurt human colonies. They would take things that belonged to Earth. And Jake had to smile and say, "Thank you." Today was different. Today, Jake felt something burning in his chest. It was anger, but it was more than that. It was the anger of every human who had ever been told they were not good enough. Chairman Vorthak sat on the highest chair. He was tall and thin with gray skin that looked like old leather. His 6 fingers drummed on the table as he spoke. His voice was cold and flat, like a machine reading words. "The matter of the new Denver colony comes before us today," Vorthak said. His big black eyes looked at Jake for just a moment, then looked away. "The Zilani Empire has made a legal claim to this world." Jake felt his hands turn into fists. New Denver was home to 50,000 humans. They had been living there for 8 years. They had built farms and schools and hospitals. They had made a life there. A Zilani stood up. Zilani looked like giant. Insects with 4 arms and skin that changed colors. This one was called High Speaker Zarth. When he talked, his skin turned bright red with anger. "The humans took this world without asking," Zarth said. His voice sounded like metal scraping on stone. "They did not follow the proper rules. They did not get permission from this council. We demand they leave at once." Jake stood up. "New Denver was an empty world when we got there. We checked all the records. No one had claimed it for over 200 years. Several aliens laughed. The sound was ugly and mean. A creature that looked like a giant bird with blue feathers made a noise like coughing. "The human speaks as if it understands galactic law," the bird thing said. "How amusing." Vorthak held up one of his long hands. The room went quiet. "The humans are new to space travel," he said. "They do not understand how things work. In their ignorance, they settled on many worlds without permission. This cannot continue." "We followed every rule you gave us," Jake said. His voice was getting louder. "We filed every paper. We waited for every approval, and still you find ways to say no." "The humans are emotional," said another alien. This one looked like a walking tree with eyes. "They think with their feelings instead of their minds. This is why they cannot be trusted with important decisions." More laughter filled the room. Jake looked around at all the faces staring at him. Some looked like animals, some looked like plants, some looked like nothing he had ever seen. But they all had the same look in their eyes. They thought humans were stupid. "Let us vote," Vorthak said. "All in favor of giving New Denver to the Zilani Empire?" 11 hands went up. Only the representative from the small Altair Republic kept his hand down. He was a short creature with kind eyes who had always been nice to humans. "The vote passes," Vorthak said. "The humans have 30 days to remove all people and buildings from New Denver." Jake felt something break inside him. For 3 years he had tried to be polite. He had tried to play by their rules. He had tried to make them see that humans were just as good as anyone else. But it never worked. They would always see humans as less than them. "Furthermore," Vorthak continued, "the Council has decided that humans have settled too many worlds too quickly. To maintain balance in the galaxy, 3 more human colonies must be given to other species who can use them better." The words hit Jake like a punch in the stomach. 3 more colonies. That was almost 1 million people, families who had worked for years to build new homes, children who had been born on those worlds and knew no other life. "You cannot do this," Jake said. His voice was shaking now. "These are our homes. These are our people." "The Council has spoken," Vorthak said. He did not even look at Jake. The humans will comply or face the consequences. That was it. That was the moment Jake Morrison stopped being a diplomat. He reached up and pulled the small metal device from his ear. It was his translator, the thing that let him speak to aliens in their own languages. He held it up so everyone could see, then dropped it on the floor. The sound of it breaking was very small in the huge room. But somehow, everyone heard it. Jake looked around the room one more time. Then he spoke in perfect galactic standard, the language all the aliens used for official business. His voice was calm and clear and cold as space. I came here today as the ambassador of humanity. I came here hoping we could solve our problems by talking. But you have made it clear that you do not want to talk. You want to rule. You want to decide who lives where and who can do what. You think you are better than us because you have been flying around space longer than we have. The room was completely quiet now. No one was laughing anymore. So I am done talking, Jake said. As of right now, humanity withdraws from all relations with this council. We will not follow your rules anymore. We will not ask for your permission anymore. We will not bow down to you anymore. From now on, humanity will take care of itself. He turned and walked toward the door. Behind him, he could hear the aliens starting to talk. Some sounded angry. Some sounded worried. But most still sounded like they were laughing. The humans cannot survive without the council, he heard Vorthak say. They will come back begging for forgiveness within a month. Jake stopped at the door and looked back one more time. No, he said. We will not. Then he walked out of the council chambers and never looked back. 2 hours later, Jake was on a fast ship heading back to Earth. As the ship jumped into hyperspace, he sent a message to Fleet Admiral Lisa Carter. The message was short. Diplomacy has failed. It is time for Plan B. On Earth, Admiral Carter read the message and smiled. She had been waiting for this day for a long time. She pressed a button on her desk that sent coded signals to every human ship in space. The message was simple. Protocol 7 is now active. The gloves are off. The galaxy was about to learn what humans were really made of. Captain Ryan Walsh stood on the bridge of the UHS Discovery. Through the big window in front of him, he could see a new world. It was green and blue like Earth, with white clouds moving across its surface. His science officer had found it 3 days ago. According to all their scans, it had never been visited by any aliens before. Captain, said Lieutenant Amy Foster from her station, we are getting signals from the planet. There are people down there. Ryan nodded. Put it on the main screen. The image changed to show a city built into the side of a mountain. The buildings were made of what looked like crystal and metal. Ships moved between them, but they were not like any ships Ryan had ever seen. First contact protocol, Ryan said. Send the standard greeting. A few minutes later, the main screen lit up with the face of an alien. It had gray skin and large yellow eyes. When it spoke, the computer translated its words into English. We are the Corathans, the alien said. We greet you, travelers from the stars. We did not know others had learned to cross the great dark. Ryan smiled. This was why he loved exploration, finding new friends among the stars. We are humans from the planet Earth. We come in peace. The Corathan looked surprised. Humans? We have not heard this name before. Are you part of the Galactic Council? No, Ryan said. The word felt good to say. We used to be, but not anymore. We make our own choices now. Back on Earth, Admiral Lisa Carter was making choices of her own. She stood in the command center deep under the surface of the planet. Around her, hundreds of people worked at computers and communication stations. Big screens showed the position of every human ship in the galaxy. Admiral, said Colonel Danny White, the Zalani fleet is 2 days away from New Denver. 12 ships, including 2 heavy cruisers. Lisa looked at the tactical display. The Zalani were bringing enough ships to take the colony by force if the humans refused to leave. But the Zalani did not know what the humans had been building in secret. "Send a message to Commander Rodriguez on the Lightning," Lisa said. "Tell her it is time to test our new toys." Far away in space, Commander Beth Rodriguez got the message on her small ship. The Lightning was not big. It was not heavily armed. But it had something no other ship in the galaxy had. Human engineers had been working on it for 2 years, ever since they realized the Galactic Council would never treat them fairly. "All hands, prepare for stealth mode," Beth said into her communicator. Around her, the crew moved quickly to their stations. The ship seemed to shimmer for a moment, then disappeared completely. On every scanner in the Zalani fleet, the Lightning simply vanished. "Impossible," said Zalani Fleet Commander HFY. He was standing on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Fang. "Ships cannot just disappear." His science officer, a younger Zalani with green markings on his arms, looked up from his station. "Commander, I am detecting no ships in this area. The humans must have run away." But Beth Rodriguez had not run away. The Lightning was moving through space like a ghost, invisible to all the alien sensors. Human scientists had studied captured Galactic Council technology for years. They had learned how it worked. Then they had built something better. The Lightning appeared right behind the Eternal Fang. One moment there was empty space. The next moment there was a human ship with its weapons aimed at the Zalani engines. "This is Commander Rodriguez of the UHS Lightning," Beth said on all communication channels. "You are in human space without permission. Turn around and leave now, or we will make you leave." Commander HFY's skin changed from yellow to bright red. "You dare threaten the Zalani Empire? We have 12 ships. You have 1 tiny vessel. Want to find out what this tiny vessel can do?" Beth asked. She did not wait for an answer. The Lightning fired 1 shot. It was not aimed to kill, just to show what human weapons could do. The beam cut through the Eternal Fang's rear shield like it was made of paper. Alarms started going off all over the Zalani ship. "That was a warning shot," Beth said. "The next one will not be. You have 5 minutes to turn around." The Zalani fleet turned around. On Earth, Dr. Alex Chen was making a discovery that would change everything. He had been studying alien technology for years, trying to understand how it worked. Today, he had finally figured out the secret. "It is incredible," Alex said to his research team. "Alien technology is designed to work with their brain patterns. But human brains are different. We can make it work better." He showed them a piece of Galactic Council computer equipment. In alien hands, it could process information quickly. But when Alex connected it to a human brain scanner, the processing speed increased by 500%. "We can think faster than they can," Alex said. "We can adapt to their technology better than they can. This is why they are afraid of us." Across the galaxy, other humans were making their own discoveries. On the industrial world of Forge Station, Director Marie Johnson was building weapons and ships faster than anyone thought possible. She had taken alien designs and made them better, stronger, more efficient. "The aliens think in straight lines," Marie told her workers. "They build things the same way their grandparents did. But humans think differently. We ask what if. We try new things. We make things better." The weapons rolling off her production lines were like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. They used alien power sources but human design ideas. They were smaller, faster, and hit harder than anything in the Galactic Council fleet. Captain Steve Parker was testing one of these new ships. The UHS Ranger was built for speed and stealth. It could jump from star system to star system faster than any alien ship. Today, Steve was using that speed to visit 3 different worlds. On each world, he met with local leaders. Some were aliens who had been ignored by the Galactic Council. Some were humans from small colonies. All of them were tired of being told what to do by the Council. "We offer protection," Steve told them. "Not rule, not control, just friendship and help when you need it. By the end of the day, 6 new worlds had agreed to work with humanity instead of the Galactic Council. Back on Nexus Prime, Chairman Vorthak was getting reports that made him very unhappy. Human ships were appearing in places they were not supposed to be. Human weapons were stronger than expected. Human technology was advancing too fast. How is this possible? Vorthak asked his advisors. The humans have only been in space for a few decades. They should not be able to do these things. His chief science advisor, a tall alien with blue skin and 4 eyes, looked nervous. Chairman, we may have underestimated the humans. Their brains work differently than ours. They seem to be able to understand our technology better than we expected. Impossible, Vorthak said. We have been building technology for thousands of years. They are children playing with tools they do not understand. But even as he said it, Vorthak knew something was wrong. The reports kept coming in. Human ships moving faster than should be possible. Human weapons cutting through alien shields. Human colonies refusing to follow council orders. On the bridge of the UHS Discovery, Captain Ryan Walsh was finishing his first trade agreement with the Corathans. It was simple and fair. The humans would provide medical technology and protection. The Corathans would share information about their part of the galaxy. This is much better than dealing with the Council, the Corathan leader said. They always demanded we give more than we received. You ask only for friendship. Ryan smiled. That is the human way. We believe in fair deals. As the Discovery prepared to leave Corathan space, Ryan got a message from Earth. Admiral Carter was asking all human ships to report their status. The message was simple. How are our new friends doing? Ryan looked at the list of species his ship had contacted in just the past week. 7 different worlds had asked for human help. 5 had agreed to trade deals. 3 had asked if they could leave the Galactic Council and join with humanity instead. Very well, Admiral, Ryan replied. Very well indeed. In the depths of space, the galaxy was changing. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Galactic Council was not in complete control. And for the first time since they had left Earth, humans were free to be themselves. The aliens were about to learn that freedom was a very dangerous thing to give to humans. The Eternal Dominion was the biggest ship in the Galactic Council fleet. It was 5 miles long and carried enough weapons to destroy a planet. Admiral Cruxan, the most feared military commander in Council space, stood on its bridge and looked. At the blue and green world ahead of him, Earth looked so small and peaceful. It was hard to believe that this little world was causing so much trouble for the Council. Admiral, said his communications officer, we have sent the surrender demand to the human government. They have 1 hour to agree to our terms. Admiral. Cruxan nodded. The terms were simple. Humanity would return to the Council. They would follow all Council laws. They would give up their new weapons and technology. They would move their people off any world the Council wanted to give to someone else. The humans would agree because they had no choice. The Eternal Dominion had come with 50 other ships. It was the largest fleet ever sent to force one species. To obey, on Earth, Admiral Lisa Carter read the surrender demand and laughed. She was in the command center under the mountains of Colorado. Around her, thousands of people worked at computers and communication stations. Tony, she said to Admiral Tony Martinez, how many ships do we have ready? 237, Tony replied. All with the new stealth systems, all with the new weapons, Lisa smiled. The aliens still thought humans were weak because human ships were smaller. They did not understand that humans had learned to build ships differently. Human ships were fast and hard to see and could hit much harder than their size suggested. Send them a message, Lisa said. Tell them they have 1 hour to leave our space. Admiral Cruxan could not believe what he was hearing. The humans are refusing our demands? They think their tiny fleet can fight the Eternal Dominion? His tactical officer looked nervous. Admiral, our sensors are having trouble. We can only detect about 50 human ships, but the number keeps changing. changing how? Sometimes we see 50 ships, sometimes we see 30, sometimes we see 100. Our computers cannot get a clear count. Admiral Cruxon's 4 eyes narrowed. The humans are using some kind of sensor jamming. No matter. We have them outnumbered. All ships, attack formation. But when the Council fleet moved toward Earth, they found that fighting humans was not like fighting anyone else. Commander Kate Sullivan was flying a small attack ship called the Hornet. It was tiny compared to the Eternal Dominion. But Kate had learned to fly in the asteroid belts around Mars. She knew how to use space itself as a weapon. She hid her ship behind a piece of space rock and waited. When a Council cruiser came close, she fired 3 missiles and disappeared back into the asteroid field before the aliens could even see where the attack came from. Lieutenant Colonel Matt Brooks did the same thing near Jupiter. He used the gas giant's storms to hide his ship from alien sensors. When Council ships tried to find him, they got lost in the electrical interference. Matt could see them, but they could not see him. The Council fleet was used to fighting in open space, ship against ship. They were not used to fighting enemies who hid and hit and ran away. They were not used to fighting humans. "Where are they?" Admiral Cruxon shouted. "How can an entire fleet just disappear?" The answer came from all around him at once. Human ships appeared from behind asteroids, from inside gas clouds, from places the alien sensors said were empty space. They fired their weapons and vanished. Again before the Council ships could shoot back. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, the Eternal Dominion was floating dead in space. Half its weapons were destroyed. Its engines were gone. Its life support was failing. Admiral Tony. Martinez brought the UHS Defiance alongside the crippled ship. Tony was a fair man. He did not like killing when he did not have to. "This is Admiral Martinez," he said on the communication channel. "Eternal Dominion. Do you need help?" Admiral Cruxon was sitting in the wreckage of his bridge. Around him, his crew was trying to fix broken equipment and treat wounded officers. He could not believe what had happened. The greatest ship in the Council fleet had been beaten by a group of humans in ships half its size. "You defeated us," Cruxon said. His voice was quiet and full of shock. "How?" "We fight differently than you do," Tony replied. "You fight like this is a parade. We fight like this is war." Tony sent rescue ships to help the wounded aliens. He gave them food and medical supplies. He made sure they were safe. Then he sent them home with a message. "Tell your Council that humans do not surrender," Tony said. "Tell them we do not bow down. Tell them if they want a fight, we will give them one, but tell them we would rather be friends." The news of the battle spread across the galaxy in hours. The Eternal Dominion defeated. The Council fleet scattered. Humans had done what no one thought possible. On the world of Altair 7, the local government held an emergency meeting. They had been part of the Galactic Council for 200 years. But they had never been happy about it. The Council took their resources and gave them nothing back. "The humans are offering us protection," said Prime Minister Keloth. "They want nothing in return except friendship. Can we trust them?" asked General Yintar. "Can we trust the Council?" Keloth replied. "They have been taking our young people for their armies. They have been taking our food for their core worlds. What have they ever given us?" The vote was unanimous. Altair 7 would leave the Galactic Council and ally with humanity. They were not alone. Within days, the Kepler Collective and the Tau Ceti Federation made the same choice. Smaller worlds that had been ignored by the Council began asking for human protection. But the most important discovery came from Dr. Linda Washington on Earth. Linda was a computer expert who had been working on alien communication systems. She had been trying to break their codes for years. Today, she finally succeeded. "I am in," Linda told Admiral Carter. "I can read all their secret messages now." The messages Linda found made her sick to her stomach. The Galactic Council was not the peaceful organization it pretended to be. The aliens had been lying for centuries. There were secret prisons on hidden worlds. There were species that had been wiped out for asking too many questions. There were planets that had been stripped of all their resources to feed the Council's greed. "Admiral," Linda said, "there are dozens of species out there that the Council is keeping weak on purpose. They give them just enough technology to survive, but not enough to be free." Lisa Carter looked at the evidence on her computer screen. "Can you contact these species?" "Already working on it," Linda said. Commander Nick Turner was a Special Forces officer. He had fought in wars on 3 different worlds. Now he had a new mission. He was going to find the species the Council had hidden and give them a choice. His first stop was a world called Haven. The people there looked like tall, thin humans with silver skin. They had built a beautiful civilization based on art and music, but they had been under Council control for 500 years. "We offer you weapons," Nick told their leaders. "We offer you the technology to defend yourselves. We ask for nothing in return." The leader of Haven was an old woman named Silara. She had kind eyes but deep lines on her face from years of worry. "The Council will punish us if we rebel," she said. "The Council will punish you anyway," Nick replied. "They always have. At least this way you can fight back." Within a week, 6 different star systems were in open rebellion against the Galactic Council. Human weapons appeared in the hands of species that had been slaves for centuries. Human advisors taught them how to fight. Human ships protected them from Council retaliation. On Nexus Prime, Chairman Vorthak was watching his empire fall apart. Reports came in every hour. Another world in rebellion. Another species asking for human help. Another Council fleet defeated or scattered. "How many ships have we lost?" he asked his military advisor. 47 destroyed, Admiral. 31 captured. The humans keep taking our crews prisoner and then letting them go home with messages about how the Council has been lying to everyone." Vorthak slammed his fist on his desk. "The humans are destroying everything we have built." "Sir," said his intelligence chief, "I think that is exactly what they want to do." The truth was worse than Vorthak knew. On 12 different worlds, human. Archaeologists were working with alien scientists to uncover the real history of the galaxy. Dr. Patricia Moore led the main team on the ancient world of Kepler Prime. "Look at this," Patricia said to her team. She was standing in front of a wall covered with ancient writing. "This says that the current Council species were not the first to develop space travel. There were others before them. The more they dug, the more they found. Evidence of ancient civilizations that had been peaceful and fair. Evidence that the current Council had destroyed them to take power. Evidence that everything the Council taught about galactic history was a lie. We need to show this to everyone," Patricia said. Back on Earth, Admiral Carter was planning humanity's next move. The galaxy was in chaos. The Council was losing control, but chaos was dangerous. If they were not careful, the fighting could spread until it destroyed everything. "We need to offer people something better than just freedom from the Council," she told her staff. "We need to show them what a fair government looks like." The answer came from an unexpected place. The human colony ships had been building new settlements on empty worlds. These colonies were different from anything else in the galaxy. The Galactic Council was dying, and everyone could see it happening. In the Great Hall of Nexus Prime, only 7 of the 12 founding species still sent representatives. The others had stopped coming to meetings. Some were dealing with rebellions on their own worlds. Others were secretly trying to make deals with humanity. Chairman Vorthak looked around the nearly empty chamber, where once the most powerful beings in the galaxy had made decisions that affected billions of lives. Now there were only a few scared aliens trying to hold on to their failing power. "We must strike back," declared War Speaker Thak of the Hegemony. The big alien's red skin was darker than usual, which meant he was very angry. "The humans have made fools of us. They must be destroyed completely." High Speaker Zarth of the Zalani Empire clicked his claws on the table. His skin shifted from blue to purple, showing his fear. "Destroy them with what? Half our fleet is gone." "The other half is busy fighting rebellions. Then we build more ships," Thak said. We take resources from every world under our control. We draft soldiers from every species. We show the galaxy what happens when someone challenges the Council. But Director Yimtal of the Arcturus Trade Federation was shaking his head. The small, green alien was known for being smart with money and trade. War costs too much, he said. We are already spending more than we make. If we build more ships, our economy will collapse. Then what do you suggest? Vorthak asked. We talk to the humans, Yimtal said quietly. We make a deal. The room exploded in angry voices. Thak roared that talking to humans was the same as surrendering. Zarth said the Zalani would never bow to a species of children. Other aliens shouted their own opinions. Vorthak let them argue. He was thinking about something else. Secret reports had been coming to his desk for days. Reports that some council, species were already talking to humans in private. Reports that his own advisors were asking questions about what would happen if the council fell. The truth was that Chairman Vorthak was scared. For the first time in his long life, he did not know what was going to happen next. Far from Nexus Prime, General Paul Henderson was planning the biggest rescue mission in human history. Paul was a big man with gray hair and scars on his hands from years of fighting. He had been a soldier for 30 years, and he had never seen a mission as important as this one. Sulfur 7, he told his team of officers, the Council's main prison planet. Intelligence says they have over 50,000 political prisoners there, aliens who spoke out against the Council, scientists who asked too many questions, leaders who tried to make their worlds free. He pointed to a map on the big screen. Sulfur 7 was a dark, ugly world covered in yellow clouds. The prison was built inside a dead volcano. Guard towers and weapon systems surrounded it on all sides. The Council has been sending people there for hundreds of years, Paul continued. Some have been locked up so long that everyone thinks they are dead. We are going to prove them wrong. Commander Jill Freeman raised her hand. She was the leader of the Special Forces team that would actually go into the prison. General, how do we get past the defense systems? Paul smiled. We do not sneak in. We kick down the front door and dare them to stop us. 3 days later, the UHS Liberation dropped out of hyperspace right above Sulfur 7. It was not a big ship, but it carried the best soldiers humanity had. Behind it came 12 other ships, all loaded with rescue teams and medical supplies. The prison's commander, a nasty alien called Warden Vextar, could not believe what he was seeing. Humans? Here? This is impossible. No one knows about this place. Sir, said his communications officer, they are sending us a message. The main screen lit up with the face of General Henderson. This is General Paul Henderson of the Human Liberation Force. You have exactly 1 hour to release all political prisoners and surrender. If you refuse, we will take them by force. Warden Vextar laughed. 1 human ship against the most secure prison in the galaxy? You are insane. We will see, Paul said. The attack began exactly 1 hour later. But this was not like any prison break the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships did not try to sneak in. They did not try to avoid the guards. Instead, they flew straight at the prison. With all weapons firing, the defense systems that had kept prisoners trapped for centuries were smashed in minutes. Human soldiers landed in the prison yards and began opening cell doors. They brought food and medical supplies for prisoners who had not seen the sun in decades. But the most important thing they brought was cameras. Every moment of the rescue was being broadcast live across the galaxy. Billions of beings watched as human soldiers helped sick and injured prisoners. They saw the terrible conditions in the cells. They saw proof of the Council's cruelty. Commander Jill Freeman found the prison's main computer system and downloaded all the records. The files showed exactly who was locked up and why. Scientists who had discovered things the Council wanted to hide. Politicians who had asked for fair treatment of their people. Artists who had created works that criticized the government. Broadcast. This, Jill told her communications team. Send it to every planet in the galaxy. Let everyone see what the Council really is." The rescue took 6 hours. When it was over, 53,000 prisoners were free. Many of them were so weak they had to be carried to the rescue ships. Some had been in prison so long they had forgotten what their home worlds looked like. But they were alive, and they were free. And their freedom was being watched by every person in the galaxy. On the world of Hegemony Prime, people gathered in the streets to watch the broadcasts. They saw their own leaders being rescued from council prisons. They saw evidence that their government had been lying to them for years. By nightfall, riots had broken out in 12 cities. The Hegemony's army was called in to restore order, but many soldiers refused to fire on their own people. Some units joined the protesters instead. The same thing happened on Arcturus Trade Federation worlds. Workers went on strike. Students marched in the streets. Government officials resigned rather than continue supporting the council. On Zalani Prime, the military staged a coup. General Tekvar, who had always questioned the council's methods, arrested High Speaker Zarth and declared that the Zalani Empire would no longer follow council orders. "We have been slaves to fear for too long," General Tekvar announced. "Today, we choose freedom." But the most important discovery was still to come. Captain Andrew Clark of the exploration ship UHS Pioneer had been searching for weeks for the mysterious void dwellers. These were ancient aliens who had disappeared from galactic politics thousands of years ago. Most people thought they were just legends. Andrew found them living in the dark space between star systems. Their ships were huge and strange, like cities floating in the void. When they agreed to meet with him, Andrew could hardly believe it. The void dweller who spoke for their people was incredibly old. Its name was Keeper Zethmar, and it had lived for over 3,000 years. It had been alive when the current Galactic Council first took power. "We left," Zethmar told Andrew. "We saw what they were becoming and we left. We tried to warn others, but no one would listen." "What did you see?" Andrew asked. "Lies," Zethmar said. "The Council's entire rule is based on lies. They say some species are naturally better than others. They say the strong should rule the weak. They say this is the natural order of the universe. All lies." Zethmar showed Andrew ancient records that proved the truth. Before the current council, the galaxy had been ruled by a confederation of equals. Every species had a voice. Decisions were made together, not by force. The council destroyed that system, Zethmar explained. They made up stories about evolution and natural superiority to justify taking power. They have been repeating these lies for so long that even they believe them now. Andrew sent this information back to Earth immediately. Dr. Patricia Moore and her team of archaeologists had been finding evidence of the same thing on ancient worlds. Now, they had proof from someone who had actually been there. The revelation spread across the galaxy like fire. The Council's claims to power were based on lies. Their whole system of rule was built on false ideas about which species were better than others. On world after world, people began to ask questions. Why should some aliens rule over others? Why should anyone have to bow down to the Council? Why could they not choose their own leaders? Meanwhile, human colony ships continued to build new settlements based on equality and cooperation. These colonies became refugees for beings fleeing the chaos in Council space. Aliens who had never seen democracy before learned what it meant to have a voice in their own government. Admiral Rachel Gordon stood on the observation deck of the colony ship New Horizon. Below her, the planet New Liberty was taking shape. Humans and aliens worked together to build cities, farms, and schools. Children from a dozen different species played together in the streets. This is what the galaxy could be, Rachel told. The refugees who had come to see their new home. Not one species ruling over others, but all of us working together. An old alien from the Tau Ceti system looked up at her with wonder in his eyes. "You really mean it, do not you? We are all equal here? That is right?" Rachel said. The end came not with a great battle, but with a simple message. Admiral Lisa Carter stood on the bridge of the UHS Freedom as her fleet approached Nexus Prime. She had brought 50 ships with her, but she was not planning to fight. Half the station's defense fleet had already contacted her, asking to switch sides. The other half had simply gone home. "This is Admiral Carter to Nexus Prime Control," she said into her communicator. "We are coming to the station to ensure the safety of all beings there. We do not intend to harm anyone." The reply came from an unexpected source. It was Chairman Vorthak himself. "Admiral Carter." His voice was tired and old. "We surrender. The Galactic Council officially gives up all power. Please do not hurt my people." Lisa felt a strange mix of victory and sadness. She had won the war, but she took no joy in defeating a broken old alien who had finally realized his mistakes. "No one will be hurt," she promised. "We are coming to help, not to conquer." When the human ships docked at Nexus Prime, they found a station in chaos. Some aliens were packing to leave. Others were destroying files and computer records. A few were just sitting in empty rooms, staring at nothing. But there were also aliens who came to greet the humans with hope in their eyes. These were the ones who had always hated the Council but had been too scared to fight. Now they saw a chance for something better. Jake Morrison walked through the Great Hall where he had once stood alone against the mockery of the galaxy's most powerful beings. Now that hall was filled with representatives from 47 different species. They had come to build something new. Jake was no longer just humanity's representative. He had been chosen by all the free species to help organize the first meeting of what they were calling the Galactic Commonwealth. "We are here to start over," Jake told the assembly. "To build a government based on equality and freedom. No species will rule over others. No one will be forced to obey laws they had no part in making." A young Karathan named Veltar raised her hand. "How do we know this will not become just another council? How do we know humans will not try to rule us?" Jake smiled. "Because the first law of the Commonwealth will be that no single species can hold more than 10% of the government positions, humans included. We will be equals, or we will not be part of this at all." The debate went on for days. Species that had been enemies for centuries had to learn to work together. Languages that had never mixed before filled the halls with strange new sounds. But slowly, carefully, they built the foundation of a new kind of government. The Commonwealth Charter was simple. Every species had the right to govern itself. No one could be forced to join. No one could be prevented from leaving. Decisions that affected everyone would be made by vote, with each species getting one voice regardless of size or power. Most importantly, the Commonwealth would have no permanent leaders. Representatives would be chosen by their own people and could be recalled at any time. Power would never again be allowed to gather in the hands of a few. While the politicians talked, human scientists and engineers were busy with other work. Dr. Alex Chen had teams all over the galaxy, helping former Council species upgrade their technology. But they were not just giving away human inventions, they were teaching aliens how to improve their own designs. "The goal is not to make everyone dependent on human technology," Alex explained to his team. "The goal is to help everyone become better at making their own technology." On the former prison world of Sulfur 7th, the ugly yellow landscape was being transformed. Dr. Patricia Moore led a team of archaeologists and historians who were turning the old prison into a museum. Future generations would come here to learn about the Council's crimes and to remember why freedom was so important. "Never again," Patricia said as she watched construction robots tear down the guard towers. "No one should ever have to suffer like this again." But the most amazing changes were happening on the human colony worlds. What had started as refugees for people fleeing the Council had become models for the entire galaxy. On New Liberty, children from 20 different species attended school together. On Haven's Dream, artists from across the galaxy came to create works celebrating their new freedom. Admiral Rachel Gordon walked through the streets of Unity City on the world of New Harmony. Around her, she could see the future of the galaxy taking shape. A human mechanic worked alongside a Zalani engineer to repair a transport ship. A Karathan teacher helped alien children learn to read. A former council soldier from the hegemony was training local police in nonviolent crowd control. "This is what we fought for," Rachel told her aide, a young human named Kevin Park. "Not to rule anyone, but to give everyone the chance to rule themselves." The former members of the Galactic Council were adapting to the new reality in different ways. Some, like the hegemony, had fallen into civil war as different groups fought for control. Others, like the Arcturus Trade Federation, had peacefully transitioned to democratic governments. The Zalani Empire had surprised everyone by becoming one of the Commonwealth's strongest supporters. General Tekvar, who had led the coup against High Speaker Zarth, turned out to be a natural politician. He helped write many of the Commonwealth's founding documents. "We were warriors for so long," Tekvar told Jake Morrison during one of their many conversations. "Now we want to be builders instead." Even former Chairman Vorthak found a place in the new order. The old alien spent his final years writing a book about the Council's mistakes. He wanted to make sure future generations understood how power could corrupt even those who meant well. "I thought we were bringing order to the galaxy," Vorthak wrote in his memoirs. "I did not realize we were bringing slavery instead." Captain Ryan Walsh continued to explore the galaxy with the UHS Discovery. But now, he was not alone. Ships from dozens of species joined the exploration missions. They found new worlds and new civilizations that had been hiding from the Council for centuries. The Void Dwellers, led by the ancient keeper Zethmar, returned to normal space for the first time in millennia. They brought with them knowledge that had been lost for ages, including the locations of ruins from the galaxy's first democratic civilization. "The wheel of history turns," Zethmar told the Commonwealth Assembly. "What was destroyed long ago is being reborn, but this time you have the wisdom to do it better." Not everything was perfect in the new galaxy. There were still conflicts between species. Some groups refused to join the Commonwealth and tried to create their own small empires. Pirates and criminals took advantage of the chaos to raid shipping lanes. But these problems were solved differently now. Instead of one overwhelming force crushing all opposition, multiple species worked together to find solutions. When the Rigel pirates attacked trade ships near the Tau Ceti system, a joint fleet of humans, Karathans, and former hegemony forces stopped them together. Commander Beth Rodriguez, now promoted to admiral, led the anti-piracy task force. "We are not here to conquer anyone," she told the pirates she captured, "but we will not let you hurt innocent people either. You can choose to follow Commonwealth laws, or you can find somewhere else to live." Most of the pirates chose to follow the laws. 5 years after the fall of the Galactic Council, Jake Morrison stood once again in the Great Hall of Nexus Prime, but this time he was not alone. Beside him stood representatives from over 200 species, including many that had never been allowed to speak in the old council chambers. Today they were voting on the Commonwealth's biggest project yet, a joint mission to the center of the galaxy. Scientists from every member species would work together to unlock the secrets of the massive black hole at the galaxy's heart. "This is what we can accomplish when we work together," Jake told the assembly. "Not as rulers and subjects, but as equals." The vote was unanimous. That night, Jake walked out onto the observation deck of Nexus Prime and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, human children were playing with alien friends on worlds their grandparents had never dreamed of visiting. Scientists from a dozen species were making discoveries that would benefit everyone. Artists were creating works that celebrated the diversity of galactic civilization. It had all started with a single human ambassador refusing to bow down to bullies. Now the galaxy was free. Admiral Lisa Carter joined him on the observation deck. She was older now, with gray in her hair and lines around her eyes, but she still had the same fierce determination that had led humanity through its darkest hour. "Any regrets?" she asked Jake. Jake thought about the question for a long moment. The war had cost lives. The chaos had caused suffering. Some species still refused to trust humans or anyone else. Building the Commonwealth had been harder than tearing down the Council. But then he thought about the children playing together on New Harmony. He thought about the former prisoners from Sulfur 7 who were now free to go home. He thought about all the species that no longer had to live in fear of the Council's arbitrary rules. "No," Jake said finally. "No regrets at all." Above them, the stars shone down on a galaxy that was finally learning what it meant to be free. It had taken humanity to show them the way, but the future belonged to everyone. The Commonwealth flag flew from Nexus Prime, showing not one dominant star, but hundreds of them arranged in a great spiral, each light